This is The Wire for 2300 Zulu, February 19th, 2025. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. War expands in the Congo. Tensions build between the U.S. and Ukraine following Zelensky being sidelined during peace talks. Beginning with international events, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC, the advance by M23 rebels in the eastern districts of the country has continued, with the rebels capturing the city of Bukavu yesterday. Separately, in the northeast region of Bunia, Uganda launched an invasion of their own, deploying Special Forces soldiers throughout the region. Analysts comment, the flimsy attempt to conceal the M23 rebels as an independent group has largely fallen away, as the military uniforms that the rebels are now wearing more or less confirm that these forces are in fact mercenaries slow-walking a Rwandan invasion of the DRC. Uganda, now wanting a piece of the action, is very likely to escalate the situation further, and probably marks a new era of the decades-long conflict. In Europe, tensions remain elevated between the United States and Ukraine, with Ukrainian leader Zelensky expressing a variety of hostile statements towards the United States for himself not being invited to the peace talks conference currently underway in Saudi Arabia. On the home front in the United States, the arrival of winter weather conditions throughout much of the central and eastern parts of the nation has caused significant travel delays. Many airlines have issued ground stops for much of the central United States due to poor weather conditions. In Kentucky, the casualty figure has risen to 14 fatalities resulting from the recent flooding disasters throughout much of the state. In Arizona, this morning, an aircraft collision was reported at the Marana Regional Airport, which resulted in the destruction of two small planes. 2 fatalities were reported as a result of the collision. Analysts comment, as the focus remains on aviation mishaps nationwide, it will be up to the individual to conduct their own analysis to determine if these events are happening more often, or if the increased media coverage is skewing the overall risk assessment. In Washington, D.C., various presidential actions continue, with a handful of cartels being formally designated as foreign terrorist organizations, or FTOs, this afternoon. Analysts comment, this decision was made weeks ago and already in practice, as evidenced by the significant intelligence collection efforts recently undertaken by the United States in Mexico. As the formalization of this decision is solidified in policy, the ball is now in the court of the various cartels to determine what their reaction will be. On the diplomatic front, relations between the United States and Russia have improved significantly over the past few days, at the expense of rapidly deteriorating relations with Ukraine and most of Europe. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced an official restoration of diplomatic relations between the United States and Russia as part of ongoing conversations pertaining to peace talks. Analyst comments for this wire. As has long been theorized since the start of the war, and as the conflict in Ukraine draws to a close, a lot of things are going to happen in very rapid succession. Perhaps most frustratingly, a lot of things are going to happen that may seem to be nonsensical to some. This is due to the rabid censorship efforts over the past few years that have painted a specific picture. The vast majority of those in the West have largely been looking at the war through a lens that is completely one-sided. This is nothing new, however, reality is often a great equalizer in the realm of information warfare. At a certain point, all of the propaganda and gaslighting falls away to reveal the reality of the situation. In the case of Ukraine, there are many people who likely still believe everything they have heard about the war, the motivations for the conflict beginning, and so on. As such, when the lies are increasingly more and more detached from the truth, the more damage is done. The bigger the lies are, the harder they fall. Over the next few weeks, the American taxpayer is going to learn a lot of inconvenient truths, and as a result may feel a level of betrayal as the situation does not turn out the way that it has been portrayed for years. More specifically, harsh statements will very likely continue to be traded between the United States and Ukraine as it becomes more clear that ever since the West became involved in the conflict, Ukraine has had very little agency or leeway to decide their own fate. Ukrainian leaders may even seek to bite the hand that feeds them, as that hand starts feeding them less. Likewise, many European nations which have been involved in the war will probably continue to express hostile sentiment toward the United States, as Germany already has, for a variety of reasons, some probably justifiable, some not so much. Either way, the rapid pivot away from the policy of the past 4 years is likely to cause issues domestically among Americans who have differing and often combative opinions on the war. This concludes the wire for 2300 Zulu, February 19th, 2025.